like we always do, just the champions on defense, Raymond Jones, Pete Warner, Kendall Sheffield, and Jeff Okuda. And the player of the game on defense was Jordan Fuller, 13 tackles. On offense, Dwayne was a champion. The two receivers, Terry McLaurin and Paris Campbell, were. Luke Farrell was a champion, and two offensive linemen, Malcolm Pridgeon and Michael Jordan. And offensive player of the game was KJ Hill. In special teams, it was only one kickoff got covered. We did a good job. Punt was okay, and then we made 3 field goals with right before the game. Sean Nerver strained his groin in the warm-ups. I think it was groin or quad. And Blake came in and really hammered the ball, did a good job. So he was special teams player of the game. Obviously, a big road game, a team that is very good on film, obviously, scoring a lot of points. And we got to get some guys healthy and get ready to go. I'll answer your questions for you.
Front row middle, Dave.
Urban, do you expect to have Nick Bosa back this season?
He's going to, I believe he's flying back up there tomorrow to get rechecked, I'm hoping.
Are you optimistic, or how would you, I know you said you're hoping, so thank you.
Next door left, Bill Landis.
Urban, we've talked a lot about the run game, and I know some of it just comes down to execution from everybody. Is it possible you guys could do more, whether formationally or build a little more RPO off of this run game to protect it a little bit?
Well, a lot of those passes are RPOs. So, like when you see Paris in the flat or a KJ on a hitch, those are all RPOs. You're reading someone, if they trigger, you throw the ball. So I'd say there's at least 10 to 12 called runs that are the ball's being thrown. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. How would you say Dwayne is doing with that? Is he always making the right decision when he pulls it, or
pretty good? Yeah, I mean, there's times where it can go either way, but he's very accurate with the ball.
And what's the status of Thayer Munford coming off the game?
Thayer is sore. He's I'd say probable for the game Saturday.
Front row right, Bill.
When you study the defense and the way it's been exploited lately, and obviously we saw the slants and the runs and all that. Is there something schematically that you could be doing differently? Do you think you have the right personnel to play the way you're playing right now?
Constant evaluation of that, and it's ever changing with personnel when the guys get dinged and hurt. And we got like last week we were out 5 starters for really the majority of the game on defense, so it's hard to drastically change right now. We held them without scoring for a good part of 3 quarters and had 3 turnovers and 3 sacks. So, yeah, I mean, I see what you see as well. You know, we expect them to be snuffed out, but this will be a big challenge this week. But it's, with everything you just said, that's what we do all day. It's just constant evaluation.
And when you look at Purdue, obviously, they had a slow start, but they've gotten it together. How scary are they on offense?
They're really. I haven't studied them yet, but I just talked to the defensive staff, and I see the stats. They're really good.
Far left, Lori.
The very best teams, the teams that have accomplished something special under you, Coach, do they inevitably get better week after week, or are even the best teams able to take a step back sometime in the season, not from a results standpoint, but from a process standpoint? Maybe you go from being 9 to 8 units strong in a game somewhere in the middle of the season.
This time you just don't have time to really evaluate, look back, and reflect. And we're just, I mean, every school's dealing with it. Every team's dealing with, if this guy's injured, how you put this one in, how do you adapt your scheme to your personnel, like I believe Bill just asked a minute ago. So we haven't had time to think about that.
Second row left, Ari.
Urban, Justin Hilliard stepped in, guy that was a 5-star prospect, has had an injury-plagued career. What did you see from the way that he played? What's he meant to this team and on special teams going into this? And when you see a guy overcome injuries and stuff like that, how special is it to kind of see the performance?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite players, favorite families. He's a guy that means so much to his son. Kicking game, we took him off the majority of him last week. He played pretty good, not great, but pretty good. And you've got to remember, this is his 2nd year of football, because his first 2 years were, didn't get to practice, really didn't get to do much at all because of his bicep.
When you're recruiting somebody like that, obviously with him being 5-star prospect, one of the most sought after players in the country. When he has a few years like that, is that just you kind of take what you can get, or do you still see the potential that you saw when he was a senior? Can he reach the level that you initially envisioned?
Yeah, you saw it with Marshawn Lattimore. He missed 2 years with hamstring injuries. And you never give up on a player and keep working with him, and training staff gets him better.
Front row right, Austin.
Urban, you touched on this a little bit at the start. With the rushing game, when you look at what defenses are trying to do against you guys right now, do you get the sense that they still would rather you try to throw than use Dobbins and Weber? Are those the looks that you're getting?
There are a lot of them, and that's, we went back and studied everything, and actually, just had that conversation about these are 10 wrong calls that we're flipping the ball out there and making plays with it, and that's kind of what Dwayne gives you. Where maybe JT gave you something else, where it's more of a run option. This is a run-pass option.
Yeah.
So.
Are there things that you think need to be changed with the short yardage running? That's the rest of the time, right, with the RPOs. But in the short yardage, what do you think is happening there? Is it a line? Is it scheme? What do you think you need?
They're just load the boxes. We're not going to run the quarterback.
Yeah.
So we got to, like we ran the naked on 3rd and 2. So those are all things once again we're looking at.
And the way Blake played, could that be a permanent change at kicker?
It's open for conversation. I don't know the health of Sean yet. He was doing pretty good, but I think every day is competition.
Front row left, Tim. Front row left, Doug.
Did you just confuse me with Tim May? That's quite an honor. It's quite an honor. Just very briefly, the way you just talked about the RPOs and like the quick passes, like the pairs, do you almost consider that part of your run game?
Yes.
Like it's not in the stats, but when people say, oh, they only ran for X yards, but when you think about
Once
it.
again, Ryan would be a good guy to talk to because he did, and I sat in there with him. I want to say I don't want to give you a number because I don't want to be wrong, but there's some pass yards at a run place.
Yeah, okay. Rondale Moore for Purdue, I think he's only 5'9". He's second in the Big Ten in receiving. He's just a little fast guy that's hard to cover.
Real fast guy.
Your H's are bigger guys. Paris is a big, fast guy, right? Is there anything, there's a couple little guys in this conference. Lately, you had Dontre here, but lately, it seems like maybe your H-backs are bigger. Is there anything that maybe, is it harder to get a 5'9" guy here and put him on the field at H consistently because maybe you're asking him to do things blocking or anything, or is it just coincidental, the size of your H's?
The best players possible, and then you adjust and adapt your offense to those guys. And he's certainly a guy that can play around the country.
So you take, if you guys really liked a 5'8" or 5'9",
Sure.
you would recruit them and play them?
Sure.
Okay. And then defensively, I think you're 24th in the country in points given up. Is there any part of this, you only gave up 14 against Minnesota, you got some key turnovers. Is there part of you that thinks you can rely on turnovers, that maybe you'll give up yardage, but if you have some big play defenders, we'll get turnovers when we need them? Or can you not rely on turnovers?
I think I understand your question. To say you rely on it, it's part of the game, and we're very aggressive on defense. And once again, Bill says, how do you, do we have the right personnel to run our scheme? And then when you start, we've dealt with safety suspended for a half because of the targeting. We've dealt with multiple injuries, and it's at times you're in survival mode. And so to say you're relying, that's the game of football. Yeah.
Front row right, Tim.
Urban, Isaiah Pryor, how did he play Saturday, and do you see progress suddenly at that other safety spot? What's just your take on that other safety spot halfway through the season now?
I do see progress. I know at times it didn't look great, but he actually played okay. Once again, that position's a fun world to see. It's right out there for you. I know Sean Wade come in and did some good things too. So that position is not finalized. We're constant evaluation of that as well, but injuries kind of limit you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is Wade going to see more time there? The way you're looking at the way he's progressing.
We'll still have that conversation today and tomorrow.
Yeah. And then pass your tight ends, Farrell and Rashad Berry especially. how can they factor in to make the running game even better? And I mean, you know, you're always floating one of them, it looks like, you know, trying to get a little man advantage, things like that. But what do you see coming from that just particular group down the road?
That's a very healthy position. You got a really good young player coming up too, Jeremy Ruckert,
Yeah.
and you got Jake healthy again now. So you have 4 guys that are helping us in other areas of the game too. So Luke and Rashad have been playing pretty good. I think Luke rated the champion. Rashad was close.
And Jeff.